Hello everyone and welcome to our free webinar, Master of Science in Global Business Management. My name is Paula and I'm the moderator of this webinar on behalf of PrepAdviser. Today you have the unique opportunity to learn more about Cattolica's Master of Science program. Our presenters are Professor Emanuele Vendramini and Aisha Patak, International Recruitment. Keep in mind that you can send your questions during the entire webinar by typing them in the chat box. And after the presentation is over, our speakers will take the time to give you the detailed answer. Now I would only want to check with you if you can hear me, and please type in the chat box yes if everything is fine. Okay, everyone's typing already. Okay, so everyone's hearing. Everything is set now. Aisha and Emmanuel, we can start with the presentation now. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Paula, and a personal welcome from me too. So my name is Aisha Patak, and I am a Senior International Officer here in Cattolica. And we are delighted and honored to have the Director of the Masters of Science in Global Business Management, Professor Emanuele Vendramini, joining us today and intervening to highlight the program and to give you full details about this. Before starting, I'd like to give you a quick overview of how the program structure is of the webinar. So I'll be starting off with a general introduction about Università Cattolica, followed by some details on Piacenza and the region it's taught in, Emilia-Romagna. I will then leave the floor to the professor so that he can explain about the program even better. And then I will be resuming and we will talk about application procedures, entry requirements, and then most importantly, it's your time for questions. So the floor will be yours and it will be your moment to ask for any clarifications or to have any other doubts answered. All right, so if Italian is the language that is associated to culture, it is universally acknowledged that English is the language of business. Now, Cattolica has been very aware of this, and in the last 5 to 6 years has increased its postgraduate offer, increasingly teaching programs in English. Global business management is clearly just a leader in that. And it's your opportunity to learn in English whilst actually really exploiting your time in Italy and picking up that know-how that is intrinsic to Italian culture, which could easily also be one of your selling points when you are looking for a job later. So what about Cattolica? Well, Cattolica is what is the largest private university in Europe. And being private allows us to be able to give a certain amount of services to international students that most other national universities struggle with. Let me give you some examples. Whether it is simply trying to make a complex procedure more facilitated for you, application, consulting, getting visa support, accommodation providing, orientation events. These are all services that are usually taken for granted on Anglo-Saxon universities that have been recruiting international students for years and decades, not so common in Italian especially public universities. Okay. In terms of academia, I would dare say we are considered an Ivy League in Italy. Internationally, we have increasingly more and more exposure also in rankings. Now, we have 12 faculties, and these are all ranked within the top 200 global rankings by subject. The Faculty of Economics is actually a star in the rankings. And for year upon year, including the latest 2018 rankings, it is safely always in its top 150 globally. But you are postgraduate students, and most of you will be probably looking for a job after this. So I think a very valuable ranking is the employability one. Cattolica ranks top 5 nationally, top 150 globally, but I think of specific impact is the parameter related to partnerships with businesses, where we are ranked number 67 globally. It is this exposure alongside an excellent education that really gives you that cutting edge advantage and what you should really try to exploit when you join us. Most of you, probably all of you listening, have often associated Italy or looked at Italy from a tourist perspective. Whether it's our reputation for the fashion industry or our art and culture, we're the country with the most UNESCO heritage sites. You know, Milan is often associated as the economic capital and Rome as the political capital. Today, we want you to start thinking about Italy from a business lens. Cattolica has been always very good and especially mostly responsive to the needs of the territory. As you can see from the map, we have multiple campuses spread across the country. And we teach degree subjects that are strategically linked to the location that they're in. So we will be focusing, of course, on campus number 2, which is Piacenza. Number 1 is Milano, number 3 is Cremona, and number 4 down south is Rome, where a medical school is. What about campus life in Piacenza? Well, it's often synonymous to quality because compared to especially the bigger campuses like Milan and Rome, it's a much smaller and therefore more intimate and friendlier atmosphere. Feedback from students who have gone to study there and are still studying there, one of their favorite parts of this is the fact that professors can access and give more time to students than in the other universities' experiences. Perhaps some of you are used to studying in huge universities, and it's very hard to get attention from professors sometimes. But I truly believe in Piacenza, that experience is a real plus. And then it is quite like an Anglo-Saxon model in the sense that there is an 8,000 square meter sports facility. There are accommodation facilities on campus and off campus. And notice the geographic proximity to Milano. In Milan, there are 3 international airports. You as international students will probably need that a bit more than perhaps a local person. So even if you're doing your internship abroad, the facility to move, you're just 50 minutes away from Milan city center. You can really enjoy both sort of lifestyles, but with the added advantage that in Piacenza, the living costs are cheaper. Now, Piacenza. I wonder how many of you know it, but if you don't, it's time to explore it. In the last 50 years, Piacenza has really distinguished itself for the increase of the SMEs, the small and medium enterprises. The sectors with the most significant growth are the ones that you see on the screen, to name but a few: metallurgy, machinery, logistics, agribusiness. Forbes recently in an article actually named Emilia-Romagna, the region in which Piacenza is located, as Italy's greatest gastronomic treasure. From a logistics point of view, the American e-commerce giant Amazon opened one of its largest distribution centers in Piacenza. However, if you think that Piacenza's strength is just national and it stops there, you're wrong. Internationalization in Piacenza and in Emilia-Romagna is a very strong force. The international trade actually named Emilia-Romagna as the region with the most foreign investment flows. And it is a leading Italian region by value for exports per capita. The sectors that are industry leaders are not just national in terms of their leadership, but also in terms of employee numbers. A refreshing fact as well is that 1 out of 5 companies in Piacenza is female-led, which I think is a good reflection of the opportunities and the scope for development and job opportunities there. Now, we believe that evaluating a university or a faculty based on its alumni track record is a good parameter, because we know it can be very difficult, especially when you're abroad trying to evaluate which university to choose for your postgraduate study. Cattolica has excelled in this. We have regularly placed alumni, our students, in some of the highest positions. That's in the public sector, like government, and that's also in the private sector. But perhaps these two young people are the case study that you might want to most reflect in, just because they studied at your same city, Piacenza, in the same faculty of economics, and they exploited the opportunity that the faculty provided for double degree. And they were ranked #1 by Forbes 30 under 30 category for their marketing agency, which is, as you can read from the slides, US based. Now, it's very important to understand the postgraduate study options in Italy. In Italy, there are 2 types of postgraduate programs: 1-year specializing masters and 2-year Masters of Science degrees, called also laurea magistrale in Italian. The 1-year specializing master is only 60 European credits. And of course, by European credits, these are credits that can be used worldwide. They are recognized fully accredited by the Italian ministry. But can you see that only a 2-year Masters of Science, a laurea magistrale, such as the one in global business management, gives you access, if ever one day you want to continue your academic career, to a PhD. The prestige of a laurea magistrale is unrivaled. And it does involve a lot of work. It is very academically challenging, but do not think that it is only study, because you may definitely implement internships and do also some practical work within the 2 years, whether in or out of the course. So this is to be absolutely clear that you're applying for a Masters of Science. We'll discuss entry requirements, but just to give you a rough idea, a Masters of Science tends to need a bachelor degree in the similar field. So when you're looking into the program, it's probably because you already have some sort of business background already. But this is just to give you a better idea of what to expect from a 2-year Masters of Science. But now the best person will be the professor, who can really explain to you the key details and highlights of the program. So Professor, all over to you.
Thank you so much. It's really an honor and a pleasure for me to be here today and introduce you to this Master of Science in Global Business Management, and greetings from Piacenza. It's really a pleasure to give you this a presentation and a description of this Master of Science. Naturally, this 2 years program is taught entirely in English. It is currently running. We already have the classes ongoing. The classes is made of international students, so we have Italian students, but we have also international students that are spending here the 2 years. Some of them are spending here a semester or a whole year. So the class is international. The faculty members are international too. I mean, you will not be having resident faculty members from Catholic University only, but we have usually visiting professors, both for compulsory courses and also elective courses. So the next year we'll be having faculty members coming from Boston, from Ireland, from Mexico with a specific course on small medium enterprises. From North Carolina, and a second professor from the US. So these are plus all the guest speakers and visitors that are here, and we usually interact with them. So our classes are not just, let's say, 100% teaching, but it's a combination of case study, guest speakers, visiting professors, so very interactive. There is a compulsory internship, at least one. Usually our students tend to take 2 internship opportunities everywhere. We have currently now students that are in Singapore, are in Hong Kong, are in Costa Rica, are in Berlin, London, Valencia, and many other locations. Because I just had my office hour, so I was Skyping with them. So they are all over the world. We have a stage placement office here in Piacenza. We support our students in order to take to select the internship that better fits the need and the expectation of our students. What about the class size? We don't want to have a big class size because we want to have a strong interaction with our students. So I would say 60 to 70 students. So to have an interaction, we can discuss cases, be as interactive as possible, and also be able to provide the students the best possible let's say services. And the result we were able to achieve are really outstanding in my perspective, because if you look at the placement record, more than 95% of the students are employed after 6 months after graduation. Why? Because of the internship opportunities, because of the tailor-made approach that we have. The course is mainly focused on global business management. So what does it mean? It means that it is focused on 3 different types of, let's say, companies. Naturally, the multinational companies, but also companies that are not big yet, but are willing to go and to enter. I mean, they want to enter new markets, they want to internationalize, they want to have new customers, new needs, and so they are local, but they want to go international. Plus, all the foreign companies that are investing in other countries. In Italy, for example, we had students coming from Russia that are now working for a company that is located here in Italy, but is doing the majority of their businesses with Russia and some Eastern European countries. So naturally, the background, the language, the culture of these students perfectly fit. So they got the internship first, and then they got hired by this company. Moving forward, and actually, then I've been more than pleased to answer all your points. These slides roughly present the services we offer. We support your professional career in selecting the right electives, in choosing the right internship opportunities. 1 or 2, because vast majority of students take a second, we call it extracurricular internship in their second year. We are related with the industry, so we welcome guest speakers, I mean managers that are here because of meetings, because of conferences. We welcome them, and we adjust even our timetable in order to fit and have their presentation within our courses. Plus, we have a very strong international network, and then I will be presenting all the opportunities we have, because it was already mentioned that we have double degrees, but we are also member of the IPBS, the International Partnership of Business Schools. So we are rooted here in Piacenza, but actually we are open to the world, and this is why we are delivering this program that is global as a vision and as this managerial perspective. The next slide actually it represents what is somehow the logo. It was chosen by the students, this year's students. Actually, it is a painting. We have the floor level here at the university. The fact that we are rooted in Piacenza, but we are really global. We offer a tailor-made service even in the selection of Erasmus opportunity or exchange opportunities. In my office hours, I usually interact with students that they ask me advice on which location, which program, or we also offer the students the possibility to write a final. At the end of the Master of Science, the students have to write down and then defend a final thesis, and this final thesis can be written abroad. In another university supervised by us and also by the university or in a foreign company. There is this great program called Final Thesis Abroad, and we offer our students this possibility with also some scholarships available. So this is the idea of being rooted, and we also have students that are doing this very moment their final thesis abroad because they are studying export companies that are, for example, I was mentioning Hong Kong. So an Italian company that just opened in Hong Kong and are exporting Italian foods, or companies that are in Australia that are supporting import and export or doing business between Italian and Australian companies, Chamber of Commerce. We had students from Colombia that did their final thesis on their native country and interaction with other Latin American economies. So, like I said, the class is really international. If I remember correctly, we should be having roughly 14 to 15 different nationalities represented in this very moment in the current class. I was mentioning the double degree and other opportunities. We have now, actually, we have here written 3 double degrees. Actually, there is a 4th opportunity. We have a double degree with another Catholic university in Lille, in France. It's 1 year here, 1 year in Lille, and then 2 Master of Science. The Master of Science in Global Business Management here, and the Master of Science in International Business in Lille, France, in the northern part of France. We have another double degree with 2 other partners. One is the Dublin City University in Dublin, Ireland, and the other one is ESB. ESB is a business school in Reutlingen, Germany. Again, it's a double degree. It's a Master of Science in International Management taken in Ireland or in Germany, and the Master of Science in Global Business Management. This is because it's a 2-year program, so students are allowed to spend a year here or a year and a half here, and then we recognize the credits that are taken abroad and the other way around. So at the end of the experience, the students will be having 2 degrees, 2 Master of Sciences. What about the 4th one? The 4th opportunity, which is definitely brand new, it's a new agreement that we just signed, is with the University of California at San Marcos, very close to San Diego. It's actually in between Los Angeles and San Diego. It's a double degree between our Master of Science in Global Business Management and an MBA. The MBA provided by this university, the University of California at San Marcos, again, the first year here, and then the part of the second year and the final internship at San Marcos, which is, I was there at the beginning of March, half an hour northern than San Diego. So this is another opportunity for the students to get two degrees in roughly 2 years. Plus, students also go abroad for a semester, for a year, with an exchange programs or with a study abroad programs, even doing their some language courses abroad. Naturally, all the courses here are delivered in English, so you don't have to necessarily speak Italian because everything is in English. Naturally, while being here in Italy, you have this additional opportunity to learn Italian. So this is another opportunity, but it's not a prerequisite to speak Italian because, as it was said at the very beginning, English is enough because we talk about business. So this is in pills, actually, the description of the courses or of this course. What about the topics that are discussed and the teaching methodology? The topics are related to marketing, to strategy, human resource management, but from an international perspective. What does it mean to manage a team made of different, people coming from different nationalities with different values, different backgrounds, and usually accounting from an international perspective. And we usually do this in a very interactive way. And it works this way. Students are expected to be as interactive as possible because we discuss case studies. Students are expected to do group projects and make presentations. They are expected to do business games involving companies as well, do the simulation of the working environment. So it's not the traditional, let's say, university where students are expected to take notes. It's very, let's say, let me put it this way, very MBA oriented, very Anglo-Saxon, and the students are challenged to discuss the topics and discuss the cases, come to class prepared and be ready for discussion. This is why we were able also, because of this teaching methodology, where students are part of the learning organization, they are actively engaged, we were able to sign these agreements with double degrees in other European and even non-European countries. Naturally, then, I think I covered the majority of the points, but actually, if you had whatever question about the content, the structure, about the timetable, I'll be more than pleased to answer all your points. We try to concentrate all the courses in, we call it quarter, that are made of 5 weeks. So right after the courses, the students are expected to take their midterm exam and then the final exam. So it's, in my opinion, very well structured. Even the students are very satisfied because they are expected to do the assignments, do the group project, do the presentation, then the final exam, and then they're done. So they are able to schedule their internship or to go abroad because everything is structured and planned far in advance. We already have ready the timetable for the next year. So students are informed. We'll be starting in September, Monday, September the 17th. Will be the kickoff day for the new academic year. I think I covered the majority of the points. I'm looking forward to answering your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. That was really, truly very enlightening. It does sound very, very exciting indeed. So now back to more of, let's say, the more bureaucratic or the more academic side of finances. It's obviously a very important topic. So essentially, in terms of tuition fees, well, tuition fee is based according to where you pay taxes, so not according to nationality. So for those of you that are you or your families are currently paying taxes outside the European Union, there is a flat fee of 8,500 euros a year. However, be it part of the Catholic tradition, we do believe in providing partial merit-based scholarships because they're merit-based to students. So you, without any extra application, you can be considered automatically based on your application and your transcripts for a UCSC international scholarship. And when you receive your offer, you are told immediately whether you have been awarded the scholarship. And the tuition fee goes down to 5,750 euros a year. Instead, if you are paying taxes within the European Union, then at that point, it's based on your family income. And there are different parameters, but the minimum is 3,600 roughly. The maximum is 8,800 euros a year. And of course, you can apply for financial aid upon your arrival here for the Italian government money. How much does it cost to live in Italy? We did mention that Piacenza has the advantage of having some slightly cheaper costs compared to, say, Milan. However, you do need to budget roughly around 10,000 euros a year. In terms of online application, how do you submit your application? So, application is very easy. We use an online application where you simply scan and upload your documents. The documents we need are your bachelor, transcripts. We accept these in English, Italian, and Spanish, and French. Anything else, simply a very simple official translation to one of these languages. If you do need to apply for visa, I do recommend you you translate it already in Italian, as that will be then necessary during the visa application procedure. We need, if you've already graduated, if you've already finished your bachelor's, then your degree certificate. We will need a motivation letter. Keep it max 1 page, but really try to communicate to the professor and to the admissions team why. Why this university? Why this course? What are your future academic goals? We prefer an academic reference from a professor of yours. We want a CV, an updated CV. If you have not studied in English at bachelor level, or if you are not mother tongue English, we will need an IELTS of 6.5 overall, or a TOEFL of 85, okay, overall, IBT. And then finally, just your passport. This is all scanned and uploaded, so no need to run around with posts and extra costs. And you submit this. The next deadline is April 15th, followed by May 15th. That's the final deadline for non-EU students. Instead, if you have a European passport, we can go on to May 15th. However, I do recommend you apply ASAP, as soon as possible. Not just for a question of places, but again, for those of you that need to apply for a visa, it can be a long process, and there are some very strict deadlines to follow. So make sure you have all the information that you need beforehand, of course, and then submit the application. All of you that have attended the webinar may also get an application fee waiver code. So submitting an application will be free. Now, just a very quick mention of the services that I was referring to earlier. It's important to note as well, of course, accommodation is a big point. So you can apply for accommodation, through the university, or you can go privately as well. We do invite international students associations, and that's a fantastic way to network also with other international students of other universities as well. Get involved. Language support is there because if you learn Italian, your chances of finding an internship or a job are increased significantly. Okay, so there is no need from a course point of view, but it is a great way to sort of increase your employability skills and a way to even just get a part-time job. Non-EU students are allowed to work part-time up to 20 hours a week. Finally, just before we go into the question and answer section, of course, this webinar is to give you a quick but hopefully detailed overview. But you keep in touch and we will keep in touch. because that's the best way to have all your questions answered. At this point, I would say let's start with the question and answers section.
Yeah.
So I will open up and I will read any questions that you are sending through, and then me and the professor can divide these up.
Sure.
In the meantime, if any of you have to go, thank you very much for having followed this first half of the presentation. Any questions? Oh, we have quite a few. Okay. So I have a question. From which countries are mostly your students? Marcel. Well, Marcel, actually, the professor certainly mentioned that there are, I think, Professor, there was what, 14, 15 you mentioned on average in your classroom?
Yes, correct. Yes.
Correct.
Yes, we had students. Yes, we had students coming from European countries, Germany, France, Bulgaria, but also we have students from China, naturally, India, Turkey, the Netherlands. And then we have students coming from Latin America, from Colombia, from Mexico, roughly this. We had students coming from Vietnam, from Japan, plus all the semester exchange students. So naturally, let me put it this way: out of 60 students, I would say 2/3 are somehow Italian nationalities, and 1/3 non-Italian. Yes, roughly.
Marcel, actually, we did say we're the largest university and we have over 40,000 students, but out of these, we have over 100 nationalities. The internationalization strategy Cattolica has followed is not to have a large volume of students from one specific country, which is actually, particularly my experience in the UK, the US, where you have floods of students from one or two countries. We tend to have few, but from many, many different. And again, this is such a valuable networking, not just social, from a social perspective, but also from these are the classmates that could be your potential future colleagues. So a fantastic networking opportunity, but with a very important presence of Italian people, because you are in Italy and you should be learning and enjoying the Italian culture that only Italian people can do best, of course. Right, another question. What is the average class size of introductory classes? Professor, I think you had mentioned this as well before. The class sizes tends to be a maximum of 60, I believe.
60 to 70, no more.
Changes
this is roughly
every
the class
year.
we had. Yeah, naturally for the elective courses, the class size is smaller by definition.
This is an interesting one. How much writing and reading is expected? It's hard to quantify.
Well, naturally, all the exams are written by definition. I mean, all the exams are written. And then reading, well, naturally, all the cases have to be read and prepared in advance. So, a lot, yes. Yes.
It is an academically challenging. It's extremely academic challenging, and that is why it is a 2-year Master's of Science degree, full-time.
Let me also add this, that I mean, even public speaking is important, because I mean, we grade groups presentations, so it's part of the final grade. I mean, each single course has a percentage of the grade that is linked to the group assignments, and actually students are expected not just to write memos or papers, but also have to make the presentation. They have to deliver the message. They have to be effective. So even orally and public speaking is important.
Another interesting question from Michael. Would this program help me build a startup?
Oh yes, we have courses on entrepreneurship, on SMEs. We have an incubator here in Piacenza that is strictly linked to the university and the faculty as well. So yes, we have actually the two students that were shown previously built their startup in Miami, and these are two alumni from Piacenza, actually, that they move then to Miami, to Florida with their own startup. So the answer is yes.
Absolutely.
We show you an example, actually an extremely successful one.
John Hayes asks, what is the most important part of the application? Is it essays? John, it's a Master's of Science degree, so your bachelor transcripts. It's your academic background, but one thing I have certainly noticed in my experience in Cattolica is that it's a very holistic approach. And that really works to our favor in the sense that your bachelor transcripts are obviously very important. This is what the professor will see, not just the grades, but what you studied, okay, your subject. Yeah. But also things, of course, your essay is important. We know that there's a lot of programs out there, so your motivation, how can we learn, what you want to get out of it, and guess it's your expectation. So your what you call your letter, your motivation letter, that is absolutely also very important. And even though work experience is not a requirement by far, of course, if there's anything particularly relevant, highlight that, absolutely. But we do look at all these factors put together, especially also when we're giving the merit-based scholarship. Right. Another questions, quite a few coming in. What if I don't have the visa? What must I do? Kasem, you've asked this. If you apply by our deadlines, we do our best so that these deadlines are created specifically to have enough time to then apply for your study visa. So you apply online. If everything is in order and all your application is complete, we send you an admission, an offer. After which, if you accept the offer, we send you an admission letter, and there we start the whole visa process with the full support and instructions, of course. You do not need, John Hayes again, you do not need separate visas for different campuses. You get a study visa to enter the country, after which within 10 days you will apply for a permit of stay, and our international advisors and international office give you full support on how to do this. And that permit of stay is valid, of course, for the whole of Italy. Okay. Is it open to all internationals? Yes, of course. The more international we are, the merrier. Okay, what are the requirements? I mean, IELTS or GRE or GMAT. IELTS is 6.5 overall score, and GRE or GMAT is not a requirement. If you have it because you are applying for other programs that require it, of course, you should scan and upload that in your additional documents section.
Yes, and TOEFL is 85 at least.
Exactly. I have a question from Anna, who asks, is this course involving collaboration between companies and the students' assignments? And what is the additional cost for dual degree? We can split this if you want.
This is a very good question. So the first question, I mean, the answer to the first question is yes. There are a lot of interaction with companies. We discuss cases. We have guest speakers. We have site visits. We are organizing something special with some multinational companies. We have IKEA here as well, not just Amazon. About the double degrees, it depends. Naturally, the double degree with the University of California, San Marcos, it's an MBA, so it is is the most expensive opportunity. Should be roughly 15,000 euros on top. Less expensive, the 2 degrees, the double degrees with ESB and DCU. It is roughly 7,000 euros, while because we belong to the same Catholic network, the double degree with Lille is free of charge. Actually, the students that will be spending their second year, we have 4 slots available. So we have just made the selection. So we have the students that will be spending their second year in Lille will be given 4 scholarships thanks to the Chamber of Commerce here in Piacenza. So it's not just for free, but they will be given 7,500 euros. to go to Lille. So it depends. And in fact, there is a vast majority of the class that apply to this double degree with Lille, and it's incoming and outgoing. So we'll be hosting French students as well.
I was reading already Kasim's other question, and does the university help us find a part-time job during learning? Okay, well, I think no university is a job agency, Kasim, and it's up to the student to be very proactive. Now, the university, we were mentioning before, and let me repeat this, our connections, our geographical position, the way we are both geographically and from a partnership point of view, we are connected with companies. That is such a big advantage. Now, if you learn some Italian for a part-time job, you need to envision yourself. Can you go and waiter? Can you, I mean, obviously for a part-time job, no one's a top CEO for a part-time job of 20 hours per week, right? So for a basic cash flow for, to cover your nightlife, to cover some basic restaurant going out a week, if you learn some Italian, it's going to facilitate it a whole lot more. So that's my top tip. But make sure you have the finances to sustain yourself at least for the few months whilst you're learning Italian, whilst you're understanding how the course structure works, how the program works, your class schedules, the workload. It's all going to be very new for you, I guess. So make sure you give yourself enough budget a month, and then there are plenty opportunities around Piacenza, more so outside campus than in campus, and then of course anywhere else you decide you're willing to go for that part-time job. Okay, well, Anna and Marcel have thanked us, so thank you for being attentive and for your questions.
Thank you.
I think we'll stick around just a few more minutes in case anyone else has any more questions. Otherwise, if there is no more questions, Polya, feel free to let us know and we'll wrap it up.
Hi again. There is just one last question that just came. Is it possible if I have a doctorate to do the master?
Well, it depends on your background, but why not? I would say yes. Why not? Even if naturally a doctorate, you mean a PhD. So the PhD is the highest possible degree. So it's quite unusual, but why not?
Yes, I mean, of course, I'm not from the academic side of things, but generally when I'm speaking to students around the world, remember that if you are making the sacrifice, because it's an incredibly great adventure and challenge to come over here, but it has to be challenging. And if you do come from the same background, chances are that you might not find it as challenging. So it's your choice. Absolutely. There's no legal veto that means that you cannot apply. We consider all applications. The most important thing is that you have a bachelor's, which obviously you have. But for you, just think, do you see yourself with students that are younger because they've just finished university, maximum 1-2 years of work experience, usually no more than that? Are you willing to take on the challenge of this level that a Master's of Science is? And if you're okay with that, absolutely, then we will consider all applications.
Okay, thank you very much, Aisha. I think those were the questions.
Perfect. So, grazie, as they say in Italy. Thank you very much to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I would like to thank both of you for the interesting presentation and for taking the time to answer all those questions. If additional questions come, we'll send them to you and we'll be able to contact the candidates.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Okay. For all the candidates that are here still, we would like to let you know that up to 1 week, you also receive a link with the recording of the whole webinar and a complimentary reward from PrepAdviser, which is a surprise now. So we would like to wish all of you luck in your academic journey. Have a great weekend ahead and see you soon again. Thank you very much, everyone.
So bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.